Okay, so day 5 here. No, day 6 on the back page. The clinometers. Okay, so no worries. This is a very short lesson, and the assignment follows it. The reason it's a short lesson is because we've already learned this. We've already learned how to calculate lengths, and we did it with tangent. So there's nothing new about this. It's still the same process. You just have to pick sine or cos this time. Okay, and then after we get through this section, the problems will throw the sine, cos, and tan all at different times. So that's the hardest part of trig, is figuring out sine, cos, or tan. The method of solving should be memorized, and it should just be like, you should be so quick at it because you've practiced that it's like you're not even thinking, it's just doing. And some of you are already there, and some of you have a little bit of a ways to go, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure it's accomplished by March 1st. Okay, so you have 3 days this week of school, and then you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have 4 days after school. There's Thursday, Friday, teachers' convention. Only a 3-day week. So you got a good week this week.
I'm going to come to school this whole week. I'm going to get paid for it too, and then there's 3 days off, so I kind of get
2 days off. Well, maybe you go to the library Thursday, Friday, and then you don't tell whoever's paying you.
I actually work.
All right, so here we go. Again, same process. So I'm going to go really slow for this because it's a short lesson. So like always, okay, if you're one of those people that struggled on the quiz today, make sure you jot this down. Number 1, label. Okay? And it's always according to the angle they give you. So according to 23 in the corner here, op is straight across. And remember, in that order, op, okay, that's a cos theta. And across 90 is your hype. So that fills the third side, no problem, 80J. If you're still having trouble labeling, it can only mean one thing. You haven't been doing your homework. So once you got labeling done, now you can build equation. Okay? What does one side look like? Sine, cos, tan, theta. What does the other side look like? And this is for equations. The left-hand side of the equation, the right-hand side of the equation. What does the right-hand side look like? Good, who said that? Very nice, McKenna. I figured it out. A ratio of sides. Okay, so that's your second step. Okay, and then the third step is just execute. Okay. So slowly but surely we will figure this out. Okay, which trig ratio do I pick? I'll put SOHCAHTOA down here at the corner. Why cosine, Jackson? Because you're using adjacent and hypotenuse. Okay? He wants adjacent and he has hypotenuse. So that's the one he has to pick. The one that does A and H. And that here down here is cosine. What's the one side you know nothing about? Op. What's the one formula that doesn't do op? cosine. So there's a couple ways of looking at it, but you need to clearly identify with your labels which equation. Then you can build. Okay, what is one side, the left-hand side? What does it look like? Sine, cos, or tan of theta. In this case, it's cos. The theta is 23 equals, now the ratio of sides. A over H. A is A, that's funny. H is 12. Put a 1 underneath here and cross multiply. So for the execute, you cross multiply for sides. What's the other execute? There's only one other execute. Second function for angles. So cross multiply for sides, second function for angles. In this case, we're solving for sides, so we use the primary function. In this case, it's cos 23. Do I times 12 and divide 1? Yes, always cross the two numbers, divide the thing across the unknown. So this is just cos 23 times 12. What is it? 11. Okay, next one. Which angle they were letting us work with here? 34? Mark it. That makes x the op. 24 is the, because it's straight across the corner. Which formula does op hype? Sine. Okay, what goes next to sine? The angle equals, on the other side, ratio of sides. Op over hype, x over 24. Put a 1 here and cross multiply. In this case, sine 34 times 24 equals x. Dividing by 1 is not going to change anything. What's that one equal? 13.4. If your calculator is in degree mode, you should match my screen. The final answer. All right. Is there only 2 more to go? Okay, before we go to this next page, what did you notice about these two formulas? And I'll highlight them for you. What do you notice about where's the unknown? It's both in the top. The unknown's in the top. And then when you executed, you times the 2, right? Okay, now watch what happens on this second page. The unknown's going to be in the bottom, and we're going to end up dividing. Okay? So there's only a couple options with trig, and here's the second version of it. Okay. 42, let's mark it. Where does OPP go? Left, bottom, or top? Left. X is the height because it's straight across the 90. 23 is the edge. Which one am I using? Which ones do hype? Sine and cos. So it can't be tan. Which one does A? Cosine. So it's not the sine. Okay, cosine. What goes next to the cosine? The angle. Divide by 1 equals edge over hype. 23 over x. See the difference on this one? X is in the bottom this time, not the top. So when we go to cross multiply, what are we timesing? 1 times 23. Does that do anything? No, it's still 23. Divide by cos 42. Okay? So what ends up happening in the algebra is a little switch. X and cos 42, they actually just switch places. This x, see how x is in the bottom right? I need it to go in the top left. That's okay in the algebra. Bottom right goes top left. And then this cos 42, if I want it on the other side, it has to go to the bottom right. Do you know how when you're doing equations, like if it says like plus 5 on the right, how do you get it to the other side? You have to subtract 5? Well, this is identical, but it's with timesing and dividing. So see how this one says divide x on the right? So then on the left, it'll be times x. And timesing cos 42 on the left will be dividing cos 42 on the right. So in fact, they just switch places. So 23, yeah, I'll put it on. To get that crap out of the way. X equals 23 over cos 42 like that. And then what's the answer? Sorry? 30.9? 31? Okay, I heard a couple of people saying the same thing. So let's go with 31. Okay, now the second one. Okay, mark 56. That makes 13 the up. Find the 90. Go across that. X is the hype. The adj is unknown information. So we're not using adj. Okay, so never say sin. That's a sin. Always say sine. Don't ever say sin in here. Okay, so the reason we're using sine is because we're using op and hype. Okay, remember SOHCAHTOA, op and hype. Okay, op and hype is sine. What goes next to sine? The angle. Put it over 1. Put the little degrees to help you remember. Degrees is different than, like, say, length, kilometers. So put the symbols in. It'll help you. Degrees is degrees. Meters and kilometers and feet and inches is side lengths. Okay, so there's side lengths and there's degrees. If you put the units in, it will help you. Okay, on the other side, op over hype. Which one's op? 13 over x. Okay, cross multiply. How do we cross multiply on this one? Always times the two numbers, dividing. So like in your calculator, 13 times 1 divided by sine 56. In the proper algebra, x and sine 56 just switch places. Like that. So you get the same thing. X divided by 1 is still just x. So literally that's all that happens. X equals 13 divided by sine 56. 16 kilometers. Okay, your assignment follows. 101, 104, and then see where it says cut kilometer? We're not doing that, so cross that out.